We will now proceed with audience questions, and I'll ask Mr. Bromry to identify those individuals in the audience that would like to ask Mr. Drake a question.
I'll ask you to raise your hand, and then I'll come to you. I'm going to work the whole room, and when I come to you, if you can state your name and whoever you represent, including yourself, if only so. Yes, ma'am. I have the mic.
Thank you. Dr. Tia Mills, President of the East Baton Rouge Parish Association of Educators. Good evening, Mr. Drake.
Good evening.
The first question I would like to ask is two-part question. You mentioned patience in one of your statements. I would like to know, how patient are you expecting the district, the board, the community, and other stakeholders to be with you?
Great question. Now the tough ones, huh? I don't worry about things like that. I think that certainly in a system like this, there's going to be events, there's going to be small changes, there's going to be large changes, there's going to be sort of that ball rolling. And I think eventually, you know, I expect things to happen very quickly. I expect next school year, the first day of school, every school to look completely different in some way than it looks right now. So that's an immediate change. But I think that once that ball starts rolling, you get to a tipping point. And when you get to that tipping point, you go over the edge and things just become easy. It becomes easy. And so once that happens, then your schools look great, kids are happy, teachers are happy, principals are doing things. It's all about the culture of the school. And so it's hard to really say, I'm going to work at the pleasure of the board. And so if I were them, I would expect quick results. And that's what I expect of myself.
The second thing I would like to mention, I'm going to be brief, is that there are a lot of teachers that are displeased with the salary schedule and the format of how teacher compensation is done at this time. And I would like to know if whether or not that will be revisited.
I think everything's going to be revisited. I took a look at the salary schedule, and I think that you know, Act 1 requires us to pay stipends to teachers based on whether they're highly effective or effective proficient or effective emerging. And so I think that all of that needs to be looked at. And part of that means that I think the step process, even though it's changed somewhat, may need to be revisited a little bit. Right now, only 1% of the teachers in East Baton Rouge Parish are ineffective. 98% are effective, whether it's proficient or highly effective. And so I think everything needs to be on the table to look at. I mean, people need to feel like they're growing, not just in their job, but in their salary. So I think everything's on the table to look at.
Okay, sir. You can state your name and...
Gotcha. Thank you, Mr. Drake. Ted James, I'm a graduate of the district and also a state representative here at District 101 in Baton Rouge. Thank you for your interest in my district. I say that very proudly. My first question, number one, besides my colleagues staying out of your business and allowing the teachers to do what they do best, I know that all of us would like that to happen. But most importantly, recently we've seen a lot of our schools be taken, and a lot of them aren't being utilized at all right now. What's your plan to bring those schools back to the district? I know that you may have addressed it earlier, but I wanted to hear your thoughts and concerns.
I don't want to see another school in East Baton Rouge Parish be taken over by state control. I don't think anybody in this room wants to see that. But we have to do a better job. The reason why they have been is because they've been ineffective for a while. And so I don't want to see another school taken over by the state. And I think we can do things that will prevent that from happening. Now, going back to the original question of what will I do with the ones that have been taken over, I plan to talk to the state superintendent and others to see what's available out there, what options we may have, and because we need those schools. The highest number of students are in North Baton Rouge, and it's the fewest number of schools serving them. We have to have them back. And if we can't get them back, we've got to find another way to build schools up there. They have to be served. I feel like the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board will be the best option for parents in East Baton Rouge Parish. And I think all these other organizations are going to get worried in a little while, because they're in business, and we're getting ready to come into business ourselves and do some things, I think, that are going to make parents choose us.
Well, one quick statement. I'm glad to hear you say that because there are a lot of organizations out there, and there's a lot of chatter about what's not right with this district. But for the past 3 years, we've been fighting extremely hard to allow this district to continue to thrive. So I look forward to working with you in the event that you are selected by our board, and I share that same sentiment as some of my colleagues that couldn't be here today.
Let me add that, it's our fault. We shouldn't be mad at these other organizations because they're filling a void for the children of East Baton Rouge Parish. And if they choose that, we've got to stop that. We have to be the choice of parents, and I think we will be.
Forgot to tell you, each person has 3 minutes with Mr. Drake's answer as well, so that's included in the 3 minutes. Sir, your name, who you represent?
Good evening, Mr. Drake. My name is John Daniel. I'm the Executive Director of Boys Hope, Girls Hope of Baton Rouge. I have a very simple question, and the preface is, and how are the children? Notwithstanding all the challenges we have, how do we create a culture of great expectation in the minds and souls of our children?
School has to be fun. It has to be fun. And I know that may sound a little bit weird, but I think school in some ways has become arduous for students. They feel like it's a job going to school. Sometimes we've extended the school day, and I'm not for extending it 7 days a week, but we have to make school fun, and that comes with the teachers. That comes with the love of the teachers, the love of the principal, and the culture of the school. You want it to where those kids not only want to come to school, but tell their parents, I'm going to school anyway when I'm sick. It can happen. And so we have to change that culture by making school. And when I say fun, I don't mean you're having a party. I mean fun is learning. It becomes a part of what we do. And school can be fun. And it can be, we need to take kids on field trips. Kids learn by sharing examples, seeing things. And we need to take field trips. And I'm sure we do, but we need to take more field trips. We need to make sure they get out there and see things they've never seen before and generate those conversations about what is this and why is this, and become analytical on those kinds of things. So it's not something that happens overnight, John. It's something that seeps in, and it begins to grow, and then it becomes exponentially bigger, and that tipping point happens, and kids are just coming to school and having a great time.
We have a McKinley High School student for you. Come on over.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Nia. I'm here with Our Schools, Our Excellence, and I want to know, how does our community compact align with your philosophy as an education leader?
Well, I'm looking at it right now, and it looks great to me, Nia. I love it. It's exactly the philosophy I have, and we're talking about recruiting and rewarding and empower proven talent. We have to give our teachers the autonomy to be the leader in the classroom. We have to do that. And of course, student success comes after you have these things, empowering teachers. I believe in hiring people who are of high quality and then give them the right to move forward and do what they have to do. I don't micromanage people. I don't stand over people. And so when you talk about rewarding and empowering talent, that's exactly what I think too. So once we do those kinds of things, involving the parents and supporting the students, you can't help but lose. So you're right on track. What year are you at McKinley High? Freshman at McKinley High. Great school. Good luck to you.
Broadmoor next. Come on up.
Hello, Mr. Drake. Oh, okay. I'm a senior student at Broadmoor High. My name is Marquand Logan. I'm also here with Our Schools, Our Excellence. My question is, how do you see the community compact becoming a part of the culture of EBR schools?
Well, first, go Bucks, and tell Coach Price hello tomorrow, okay? But I feel like it can become a part of the, every group that is interested should be a part of what we do. And I think it's awesome that kids at Broadmoor and McKinley are involved in wanting better schools. That's awesome. And so I think it can be a piece of it. I'd like to talk with y'all more about it. So once you get back to school and this gets over, maybe I'll come over and meet with you one day. We can talk about it a little bit more.
Okay, so your name.
Cornell Washington. I'm president of East Baton Rouge Federation of Teachers, but you knew me as a teacher trying to beat you at terror.
Yes, we go back a long way. Cornell.
Yeah, I have two questions, Warren. First one is, and I heard it alluded to in here tonight, about Zachary and EBR. First of all, what do you see as three major differences between the East Baton Rouge district and Zachary, and how do you see those three things that would be your most challenging as far as compared to Zachary? I will let you answer my first question first, and then I have another one.
Well,
Briefly.
when you boil it all down, there's not really a lot of difference. They're kids who want to learn, they're parents who want their kids to learn. But I do see a lot of parental involvement, okay? And it's also a community school, and that makes a difference. And that's part of the strategic plan here, that we want to try to get back to community schooling. Now, I'm not sure that will happen in the true sense of the word that what we may have seen before. But that's the second thing that I see is it's a community. The third thing would be that the culture there is now such that the teachers are so embedded in what they do. They love what they do. They do it beyond expectations. And I'm not saying that's different from here. It may be the same here. But there is a sense of the principal and all administrators could leave for the day, and it would just continue to operate. And I think that when I was there, we built a strong foundation, and you can see the result, that they continue to do great. And so I think that just that culture of being the best they can be, the words up there that we used were a model of excellence, and that's in everything we did, not just teaching in the classroom, but everything we did. And we can build a culture of excellence here. And so those are the three things that I see that are a little bit different, but it's different somewhat because it's a smaller community.
And my last question is, here in Baton Rouge, since I've been president, we've done a lot of work with the district trying to build a better relationship by providing PD, I'm talking about the union, providing professional development for our teachers as well as children, and giving out 5,000 books and et cetera to enhance. What do you see the role of a teachers union is in trying to improve and move the district forward?
I think any group that wants to help students learn is welcome, whether it's the religious community, whether it's the union community, whether it's the business community, doesn't matter, the parents. I think everybody is a stakeholder in our children becoming better every day. And so I've known you for 30 years, and I know how you are passionate about what you do. I know that. And so absolutely, I think your group and all groups need to become stakeholders more, where we can work together to make the kids even better.
Okay, if you can state your name and who you represent.
My name is Dr. Mary Maas. I represent Louisiana Area Women in Ministry, who's doing a work in the Eden Park area, 70802, with a primary focus on parental involvement in the school systems, and certainly working toward homes and families. And also, I'm a senior pastor at St. Alma Baptist Church. My question, have only one. You mentioned earlier parents, and you indicated that you would send things to the parents and make sure that they get something you will send. Here's my question. What are your thoughts and what are your plans, if any, to actually move toward community engagement? There seems to be, as I've been out there as a foot soldier, a sense of, in my discipline, they call it a hermeneutics of suspicion, which suggests as a distrust. And so I want to see if you have given thought to how to actually engage the community in this process of educating the children.
Well, I think that we have to communicate better with the parents and make sure they understand they are our customer. I mean, they are our customer. We would not be here without them. And sometimes we feel like we're this silo or island that people have to come to us. People don't have to come to us. I call it the state mentality sometimes. State mentality sometimes is they have to come to us. No, they don't. People have a choice. People have a choice in Zachary. They have a choice here. They always have a choice. So we have to make sure that we engage parents, that we communicate with them regularly, we send things home to them and make them feel like they're a part of the system, a part of that school. And I don't know how good a job we've done on that. They have to become what we are. We would not be anything without them. And there's a way you do that, through communication, through visits home. I mean, the principals need to go visit the home every now and then. Teachers need to go visit in the home every now and then. I mean, you know, one visit like that will go a long way to say, can you believe what happened here? You know, if it's an organized community that has a newsletter, the principal should have a monthly news article in the newsletter talking about, this is our community, this is our school, this is what we're doing, and invite them to certain events. I can remember when I was principal at Tara, and this is just an example, and we needed uniforms for the band. I mean, and they're $50,000 and more for a big band. And we didn't have the money to do that. So I was writing an article in the Tara newsletter every month. And I told them about our issue, and I told them our needs. Well, we had checks start coming in, and this one lady wrote a letter with the check, and she said, here's $25, and I just want you to know that my kids went there, I'm retired, I'm in my 70s, and I just remember all these things about my son was in the band and all these stories. Well, we were practicing to go to the Orange Bowl. I think it was either Orange Bowl or the Citrus Bowl, I can't remember. Our band was going to go there. And they were out marching in the neighborhood. And I said, here's what I want you to do. This is the address. Now, you're in Tara subdivision. I want you to go to that address and park in the front yard and play the national anthem and play all. And she walked out of the door and just couldn't believe it. She had her own little concert in the front yard. Can't do that with everybody, but you know what? It touched something in everybody that said, here's $25. I want to help you. I remember the good old days. And so the school is not separate from the community. It is the community. It has to be the community. It can't be separated. There has to be a connection there all the time.
Yes, hi. My name is Dr. Vicki Tolliver August. I represent myself, but I am an employee of East Baton Rouge Parish Schools. And welcome. And thanks for putting your name in the hat. And thank you all for providing us with the opportunity to present questions to Mr. Drake. In reference to my question, there was a comment you made in regards to fairness. School board member, Ms. Dyson, also mentioned about not seeing any growth whatsoever. She said, quote, I'm not seeing the growing of our own. And she mentioned the principal academy. As superintendent, can you tell me what are you going to do to address the issues of nepotism, the buddy system, and lifelong employees, also known as job holders, rather than educators who are not really career individuals? That's actually preventing growth and innovation within this district. I'm a former assistant principal. I don't have the right last name. It's not that I don't have the qualifications, because I do have numerous certifications, but I don't have the connections in reference to nepotism. I don't have the connections in reference to being somebody's buddy. I don't have those connections. So what are you going to do about qualified individuals who are often overlooked because they don't have the connections?
Well, I can't answer that question fully until I get in here and evaluate everything. But here's what I can say. I've always said this everywhere I've been, that we are not an employment agency. the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board cannot be an employment agency, okay? We're going to put the best candidate and in that position, wherever it is. And that's the way I've always operated. But we can't be an employment agency. That doesn't mean that there aren't going to be people that are here, and what it means is that if I become the superintendent, then we're not going to be an employment agency. We've got to become more efficient. It's pretty obvious that our budget issues are real. Our fund balance is not large enough, and so we've got to make sure that everything we do is more efficient and getting the right person in the right place.
Thank you for your response.
Okay, I got the mic.
Oh, okay. Sir, Kathy Wascom. I am a grandparent of a child who has, this is the first time we have ever entered the public school system. And so we're looking at it with a certain amount of skepticism as we go, and we've been very pleased so far. But I have just recently read in the paper that funding was going down for a certain school, and I don't know why for the past 7 years the funding had been decreasing at a certain school. So from my perspective, we are looking at stability in funding, stability in programs, so that if he's at the Westdale Academic Magnet, will he have another program to go to and another high school to go to, so that we can be secure in his programs, and we can be secure in the funding. Now, I don't know why funding has decreased for the system. That would be something I would ask for my school board representative what the problem is, but I would certainly like that to be addressed, the funding situation and the stability of the funding and the stability of the programs, because we will go back to the public school system if we feel that the programs are good, that our children get a good education and there's stability in that program. Thank you.
Well, you're going to be my first recruit, okay? Because we're going to keep your grandchildren in our school system. I know the school you're talking about because you mentioned it to me, and I can tell you it's been a great school for many, many years. I don't know, until I get there to look at what the situation is, I can't really comment on that. But I can assure you that we're going to do everything we can to make every school the best it can be, no matter where it is. And respect the parents and ask for your involvement in the school. So I think you're going to see some things that you're really going to like, and your grandkids will be in our system.
Okay, come on up. State your name. You represent, I got it.
Oh, no worries. My name's Ebenezer Jesse. I'm currently a 6th grade math teacher at Park Forest Middle. Last year I worked at Glen Oaks Middle before it closed down and was turned over to a charter school. And I'm down here in my capacity as a Teach for America Corps member. So I'm from Newark, New Jersey originally. So my question centers around the sort of schism between autonomy and paternalism. So in the schools with the lowest SPS scores, including those that have been turned over to the RSD, kind of what is your diagnosis of the pathologies there and how to combat them? And then secondly, in light of this year's rollout of PARCC testing, do you think the Common Core is actually a viable step in the right direction for autonomously raising the bar for our students? Or can it be properly understood as a more paternalistic gesture towards schools that have not demonstrated sufficient outcomes over the years? You can answer in any order that you feel, but that's my question.
Man, you guys are smart in New Jersey. That's all I'm going to say. You know? Well, let me. I can't believe I haven't gotten a Common Core question until right now. So let me tell you, Common Core is higher standards. Most people don't realize that the Common Core was developed by the request of the governors and the state superintendents of the 50 states. They requested the Common Core to be written. No federal money was used to write the Common Core. It's higher standards saying that at this age you did this, now it's going to be, instead of the 5th grade you learn this, it may be the 4th grade. So we know that. So having said that, I believe in higher standards. I believe also that when I taught, and I'm going to give you an example, I would teach, let's say, Vietnam, on the Vietnam War, for example. And we'd have a 2-week unit. We'd go through it, and we'd have a test. And great for you, you're a 70, I was a 69, you're a success, I'm a failure. I don't believe in that kind of thing. So the Common Core has changed the way we do things. It's more about the process than the product. So now, in that 2-week period, we're going to research it using technology. We're going to write about it. We're going to read about it. We're going to speak it. We're going to be tested on it, all of the above. Now, I'm sort of talking about how we do things now. So I am for higher standards. Now, you said you were Teach for America originally. I can tell you my experience has been over the years, and especially where I am right now with the Department of Education. There is a need for high-quality teachers in very poor rural districts. And I had a superintendent, I'm not going to mention the superintendent's name, saying, these Teach for America kids, they come and in 2 years they're gone. And they're great. The ones I've had are great. And I said, well, what would you rather have? A great teacher for 2 years or a bad teacher for 30 years? And they went, yeah, I guess you're right. So my point is that there's a place for everything. It's about good teaching. That is the most important ingredient in a school system, period, bar none, done. Great teaching. Whether they come from an alternative program, whether they come from Southeastern, Southern, or LSU, or wherever, or whether they come from Teach for America. And in the high poverty districts, sometimes there's a need for a great teacher. The unfortunate part is you leave after 2 years, but sounds like you've been here a while. And time to go.
There you go. Thank you, sir. Get you to state your name and who you represent.
Good evening, Mr. Drake. My name is Leslie Deffley, and I'm a public school parent now for a decade. My question is, would you support enacting any element of Senate Bill 636, which was introduced in the legislature this past year? And if so, which ones and why?
Is the bill you're referring to the one that gives financial autonomy to the schools?
That was one element of it.
I don't think right now, in order for that bill to become a reality, and I think there was a survey done in East Baton Rouge Parish, if I'm wrong. I think something like 75 or 80% of the principals said they're not ready for that. So I don't think that's the answer, to be honest with you. Now, that's financially. I don't think that every school principal is prepared financially to make those decisions, nor do they want that responsibility. When you think about the responsibility of a principal, you've got, we all talk about instructional principles, and they have to be instructional, number one. But they also have to be great managers. And they also have to be great leaders of transportation, and in many cases, sports and extracurricular activities. The principal is the toughest job in the school system, bar none, period, the principal. And I consider everybody in this room, and I've always had this philosophy, everybody in the system is support staff for the teacher. That's always been my philosophy. We are support staff for the teacher. That's where it meets the road, and so we have to do that. But until I really get into all the other bills, I don't know right offhand, I can't tell you what each bill was. I know that the one that was financial autonomy, and I don't think we're ready for that right now. Yes, ma'am.
State your name.
Hi, my name is Belinda Davis. I'm the mom of 3 kids in the school system, and I'm with One Community, One School District. I have a long question, so I apologize in advance. According to the 2012 report commissioned by the Baton Rouge Area Foundation and Chamber and authored by Dr. Richardson in Heidelberg, the per-student legacy cost for East Baton Rouge Parish school students has increased from $805 per student to $866 per student because the RSD-controlled charter schools in the Baton Rouge Area Achievement Zone are not paying their share of legacy costs. If New Schools Baton Rouge, the pro-charter organization that is sponsored by the Baton Rouge Area Foundation, has its way and they reach their goal of 17,000 students in the Achievement Zone, these charters' failure to pay legacy costs will be astronomical in terms of financial distress for the district. So my question is, do you believe Type 5 charter schools in the Baton Rouge Area Achievement Zone and elsewhere should pay their share of legacy costs, and what do you think we can do to compel them to do so?
I think every school should be on a level playing field. That's my opinion, okay? And there are a lot of places where the field is not level. And so my answer to you is I think they ought to be on a level playing field, period.
Come on out. Okay, state your name.
Sorry. Hi, my name is Tanya Diamond. I have 2 children in East Baton Rouge Parish Schools. I also work with one community, one school district. My question's, it's kind of a 2-part, and I'll give it to you all at once. Do you support the use of a common enrollment system in East Baton Rouge Parish? And if you do, explain why. And, well, and if you want to answer that first, then I can go on to part 2 if you do. And then,
Well, are you talking about when you say common enrollment system where everybody?
the one app.
One app?
Yeah.
You know, honest to goodness, I don't know enough about that to really comment on it, to be honest with you. I just haven't studied that enough to make a comment on it. If we're moving to community and neighborhood schools, I don't know how that would be advantageous.
Okay. Well, I'll save part 2 for later then, I guess.
Okay.
Yes, sir. State your name.
Hey, I'm Greg. I'm with WBRZ. My question is, with the charter schools, the school district is losing children to charter schools and losing money, and potentially the St. George area taking away schools and funding from that area. And I mean, you have some ideas with field trips and making the schools pristine, and the school doesn't have a budget surplus right now. How do you plan on making all that work?
Repeat the question. I'm not quite sure I understand exactly what
Basically,
you're saying.
how do you plan to make everything work with funding issues and potentially more funding being taken away?
Well, I don't look at the negative. I think I'm going to look at the positive. Naturally, as I said before, we have to evaluate all programs and personnel to make sure that we're not having duplication of services. It's obvious that our fund balance is not as big as it should be for a budget as big as we have. But I don't think we'll lose another student. I think our population is going to grow. So I don't anticipate losing any more students to private, parochial, charter, or anything else. So I think we're going to begin to grow again.
You can state your name and who you represent. Go ahead. I got the mic.
Okay. My name is Pearl Porter, and I'm a community advocate for the North Baton Rouge schools, community, parent, family, all of the above. And I'm sitting here, and I don't know if you remember, Mr. Drake, but I was a Terry High. My daughter went to Terry High under your leadership. And I've been sitting there, and I've been listening to everything that has been said. And one of the things, I'm just going to make some comments here, and then I have just one little question for you. Sure. I was listening that you were saying about the volunteer and your plans for parent volunteer, and how important it is you want to go out there and sell our school, sell our parish, our school board. And you said recruiting was I thought recruiting is a great idea. And one thing too, education has to be in our heart. And I think we've lost that. You know, education, okay, and it's got to get back into not only the hearts of the parents, the administrator, the teachers, and all. And I like what you said about principal teachers taking ownership of their school, because all of this is not just a job. They are here to make a difference in a child's life. And I feel like once they start taking ownership and we working together with the parent, because I understand, you know, being a principal and being a teacher, it's not an easy job. And also have to go home to be another principal and a teacher at home. I like what you said about that career path, where we are not having, you know, from a high school, elementary, middle, and high school, we don't have that path in North Baton Rouge. Because right now, most of the parents don't know where their children are going to be going. So I like that idea that you're going to try to bring have us to know where our children are going to be going. And one of the things I like also is said that if we don't get our schools back, and this is one I want to raw you on. If we don't get our school back, we're willing to build some. Did I hear you say that? I think you said that. Okay. Because I'm willing to build one too. I'm ready to build one, okay? A state-of-the-art high school and middle school in the heart of inner city. Thank you. Okay, one more thing.
I already have a place picked out.
Sir?
I already have a place picked
I
out.
bet you we got the same place too.
My My lips
I
are
guarantee you,
sealed,
Mr. Drake, we have the same place.
I want to get to your question.
Okay, can I get to my question? He told me get to, I don't have but how much left? Okay, okay, the plan, do you have any plans to revitalize the schools in North, to redevelop, the schools in North Baton Rouge? And also, one more, this is a combined question, and as you redevelop the schools, I want to be on the team as far as the parents, getting the parents involved in that portion. Do you have?
You will be.
I will be.
Involved. I like your enthusiasm, but yeah, we have an education desert for East Baton Rouge Parish kids in North Baton Rouge right now. Okay. And we cannot continue with that option. That can't be an option anymore. So we have to provide, whether we get schools back from the state or build schools, we have to provide for the 64% of kids who are north of Florida Boulevard. We have to. And I've been thinking about that a long time. I've talked to some people about it. And so we'll see what happens. Okay,
and I've graduated 5 from EBR, and I've been there 43 years, so we waiting. If you get our new superintendent, thank you.
Noel Hamid, I represent myself. Both of my kids graduated from the East Baton Rouge Parish School System, and I graduated a few years before them from Lee High School. My questions have actually been asked. The question about SB 636. The chamber pushed that full force, a lot of pressure applied. All but 2 board members voted to express their opposition to it. But another thing that was brought up tonight was the one app, and that's that one application process. And I was glad to hear you say, why would we do that? Because in effect, it seems to take away that sense of a local school system. The prior board actually signed an agreement with the Recovery School District that actually has one app as part of that proposal. It also says that the Recovery School District has to pay their fair share. Since you have such a great relationship with these groups, my hope is that you're going to use your talents to help show them the error of their ways. And I want to take a moment to say that when I first started in this school system and was president of the social studies, you offered the school over there at Tara. We did all of our training over there. We went there, and it was a beautiful facility, exciting place to go. And when I got to LSU and helped bring the $1 million Teaching American History grant, we decided we would do that at Tara too. And your legacy still stands there, and I'm excited to see you here tonight.
Thank you, Noel. I appreciate it.
Anybody else? Please. Your name, who you represent.
Hi, I'm Laura Fernandes. I'm a parent and part of one community school district. You mentioned earlier about safety in classrooms and removal of disruptive students. First, I'd like to know, where will these disruptive students go, and what is your overall plan on handling discipline in our system?
Well, I looked at the discipline plan today. I actually looked over the discipline handbook, and it's very specific as to what happens in there, but I don't know that it's been fully implemented. And so the very first thing is we have to make sure that the rules we make, we follow. And again, I'm not here right now, so I don't know exactly what the issue is. But I will say this, making sure that the learning environment is protected is the most important thing we can do anywhere in a school. The learning environment must be sacred. It must be protected. And I think the students will go just as far as you allow them to go. And if there's a line here and you tell them don't cross that line, but the line, and they cross the line, you have to act on that. And so once they realize that they really are going to act on that, then they begin to back up a little bit. So the discipline handbook is very strict, it's very specific, and we have to follow what we say we're going to do. That's the very first thing. But to answer your question a little further, there's many different ways you can discipline children. And again, this is protecting the learning environment, number one. It's not about hurting kids. We're not here to hurt children. We're here to help children learn. And so it could be somewhere as simple as a timeout room. or the discipline center on a campus, or the alternative school for a shorter period of time, or the alternative school for an expulsion potentially. And so there's any number of options that can be there, but we have to protect the learning environment in the classroom, period.
Okay, your name and who you represent.
I'm Sue Chapman Cavalera, and I've been teaching for 42 years, and I love every day of it. And I've already gotten 2 children from the charter school back in my classroom. So things are looking good, I think. I have a question, though, for being around for so long. Way back in 1979, one of the reasons people went on strike was for equity in the classrooms. And now, all these years later, we haven't achieved that. I've been at several different schools, and some schools I've been at have all the technology in the world. And some schools I've been at, we have to buy it ourselves. So I would like to know what you have planned to make our schools more equitable so that we all have the books that we need. Some of us are still waiting for the math books and reading books promised in August that we haven't gotten yet. So, any plans?
Well, I will say this. I think that a school principal, and when we go back and talk about autonomy, and I take the financial piece out, I think the school principal has to be the school leader in everything they do. And I believe they have to generate their own funds in some way. I mean, the great principals I see in this room right here, I know what they've done. And the principals in Zachary, they funded their own schools through whatever it may be. And they did all kinds of things. They weren't always like little birds with their hands out to the school board looking for this and that and something else. They have got to understand they have to be self-sufficient. And when they ask when they have those parental just groups together, then the parents are more than happy to do it. And then they're going to get on the bus and go with them. So we cannot, these 87 schools or 78 schools and 8 centers or whatever it is, we cannot be of the mindset that we're going to be dependent on the school board to provide everything for them. They have to be self-sufficient in some ways. The schools in Zachary were pretty much self-sufficient in everything they did. So I'm not saying that's going to happen overnight, but it's a change of philosophy. And the parents are the ones, and partnerships, business partnerships, there's lots of ways you can do that. In that community, business partnerships, partnerships with different groups and organizations and parents, they are more than willing to help if you involve them. And again, that goes back to the question I had a few minutes ago. We cannot, these schools can't be an island. They have to be part of the community. And when they are a part of the community, you see things happen exponentially that helps that school and makes that school thrive. So I don't know what the answer is from the school board's perspective right now as far as equity goes in the schools. I don't know the answer to that. But I know that we can, as schools, can change the way we do business over a period of time. Not that they don't need money from the system. We will give them money. But they've got to do some things on their own and to make themselves feel like they're a piece of that and not something that's dependent on the school board all the time.
I agree with your point, being respectful and fair. The principals I've worked with have been beyond outstanding. I'm one of those teachers that choose my principal first and then do my job wherever I land. Having books doesn't seem like that should come from the principal getting funds from somewhere else. Having the books for my children in my room doesn't seem like that would be something the principal would have to raise money for somewhere else.
It depends on if it's a school board approved series. It may not be a school, it may be supplemental that the principal or teacher wants to do. Just textbooks are what the school board should provide.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Where's the equity? And
Ma'am, we're trying to keep it.
okay. Curious.
She's Italian, she talks a lot.
Uh-oh.
Good evening. My name is Laura Gautreaux. I'm the mother of 2 in the parish and also a member of One Community, One School District. I want to preface this by saying that all charters are not created equal, so I don't want to paint with a broad brush. But I would like to know, under what circumstances would you support the approval of additional Type 1 and Type 3 charters in the district? Like, what would your criteria be? And I'm also interested to know if you consider there would be a tipping point.
Well, Ms. Chapman, I think it's too early for me to really say what would be my criteria for the approval of Type 1 or Type 2. So I really can't get into that right now. I understand your point, but I don't know enough about just the lay of the land as far as what we have and how it operates to really give you an accurate answer. I apologize for that, but I'm not prepared to really give an answer on that. Just don't know enough about it right now.
Do you have an opinion about a tipping point, though, in terms of the funding that goes to the charters?
Well, I've said before that I believe the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board should be the schools of choice. If that's the case, there shouldn't be any more. I'm not saying that, I'm not going to say there won't be. I'm saying that in the districts that have excellent schools, you see very few, if any, charter schools. I mean, they're there because people want a choice. And so if we have outstanding schools everywhere, I don't think there will be a need for them.
Your name and who you represent.
Sure. My name is Susan Nelson. I'm a lawyer and a consultant here in town, and my husband and I don't have any children, but we've been active volunteers in the school system. We've been with volunteers in public schools, and I've volunteered with One Community, One School District. So we spend a lot of time in the schools. My question for you is, you've talked about change and change that absolutely has to happen. So my question is, what is your change management philosophy, and how are you going to move people from sort of apprehension to, enthusiastic support? And what priority are you going to give to what stakeholders?
Well, I think all stakeholders are going to have equal priority. We want every stakeholder to be a part of making this system move forward, number one. Number two, I think that, I don't quite know how to answer that first question. Repeat it again, please, the first part of that question.
What is your change management philosophy? How are you going to move people from sort of apprehension about change to enthusiasm about your
I think you have to talk to people, person to person, groups, faculties, principals, different central office, and you have to talk first about philosophy, mission, and goals before you talk about details of what you're going to do. Because everybody has to be a part of the same philosophy, the same mission. One team, one mission. The same philosophy of how we will operate. It's the culture of our system here. How are we going to operate? We're going to do this, we're going to do it like this, 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 and this. And if you communicate it. That's really the way it happens. You begin small, you talk to small groups, you talk to faculties, you talk to teachers, you talk to principals, you get them in groups and say, this is the philosophy that we are going to carry forward. These are the missions and goals and core values and motto. And I want everybody to support that mission and that vision. And then you bring that strategic plan off the shelf and make it a living document. Not that it's not. I don't know that it's not. But it's pretty good. And so you make that a part of stuff you do every day.
Mr. Chapman, that concludes
That's it. Well, I want to thank the community for coming out and being a part of this process. I want to thank the board members for their time. Today, Ms. Lee is waving to me from down there. Ms. Lee, would you like to say something?
Yes, I wanted to ask Mr. Drake one question, final question.
Can we go with like a lightning round of questions so we can do it kind of quickly?
Okay, it's going to be fast.
All right, good. All right.
You want me to go first?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay, good. Mr. Drake, I don't know if you're aware of the situation with employees have been hired in interim positions. How would you feel if we hired you as an interim superintendent, and how long would you expect to stay interim before becoming permanent and receiving a contract from this board?
Well, I'm really not prepared to answer that because I don't really know. I want to be the superintendent here, and it really doesn't matter how I get here. So I guess the answer is tomorrow and any way you get me here. So that's really the answer, because I think I can help the East Baton Rouge Parish school system move forward. But I think that's all something we're talking about.
Well, I believe you can too. I've heard nothing but good things about you from the public, from constituents, and.
Excuse me, Mr. Drake, your mic, I need you to turn your mic towards you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ms. Lee, go ahead.
Oh, no problem. Right, but I just wanted to throw that out at you because you're gonna be hit with that as soon as you sign your contract or before. That, along with the salary schedules, if you're from China, you won't be able to read that salary schedule. If you come here and say, I have 10 years, this is why I should be working and this is what I should be paid, you're gonna be hit with that. So you may well start preparing yourself to come in, because we have many employees that are dissatisfied with that salary schedule across the board. Principals, assistant principals, people that have been in 10-month, 11-month supplement job. Now they're being told that they're going to go back to 10 after personnel changes that we don't approve came before us about a week ago, telling us that these people were hired back in these positions for the incoming year. And now you're going back trying to cut that. So just get ready. It's going to hit you hard and heavy. Just be ready. That's all I'm telling you. Just be ready. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Ms. Lee. Any other board members have anything? Ms. Dyson? I don't know. Is it on, Mike?
I'm not sure. Yes, I'm on. Okay. I wanted to ask you about this, the financial and academic audit, and we're in the process right now of talking through that and wordsmithing, and I believe that you oftentimes, you get what you ask for. So I think wording is critical, and I'm wondering if you could commit to helping us through that process and help us with the wording, because I think that's coming very quickly.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
It's the
Dyson.
pleasure of the board.
Thank you, Ms. Dyson. Ms. Bernard? Oh, she's off too? Okay.
Mr. Chapman, just a procedural question, and I was wondering who could answer this question. When will the video be produced and uploaded to the website?
We can ask the professionals as they stand right there. Mr. Henderson?
Monday? Okay, thank you.
Great question, Ms. Bernard. It'll be available and posted up on the website on Monday. So I would like to give Mr. Drake an opportunity to make a closing statement before we wrap up for the evening. Thank you for your time. It's you're in the hot seat over there, so you have a few minutes to give a closing statement.
I was a little worried about the format here. You know, this is a hot seat. I just want to thank the board, the community for coming out and giving me the opportunity. Again, I am both humbled and honored to be the sole candidate, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come and share my vision with you, and I look forward to many more years, if you so choose, to working here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Drake, and I now declare this workshop closed.